Have you ever watched a harem anime and maybe thought, okay, this was good, but yeah, that was totally a fucking anime, bro. Well, this anime here is to defy a lot of your expectations of the tropes. Throughout all the history of anime, or more specifically harem anime, we have gradually seen an evolution of tropes, a very few selective set of tropes that repeat with each and every single anime. The childhood losing side character, one character that you're like, oh, this is totally gonna win, why are we even watching this? Another character who's just all like, oh, I don't wanna, what is my name? Like, and one character who's very sporty, but you know, they're just there for, I don't know, Rule 34. And this anime has all of that. But you know what it doesn't have? A shitty main character and a bad story plot. Let me introduce you to Losing Too Many Heroines. But before that, I just want to show you a little clip of the show. Here you go. Oh, I'm going to love this. Losing Too Many Heroines is a harem comedy drama. I don't fucking know what this shit is. It is an anime about a guy who reads a lot of harem manga, and one day he's at a cafe just chilling, reading his manga, drinking coffee. But diagonally to his right, he sees the same classmate confessing to their childhood best friend. And oh boy, I think history tells enough about what happens to the childhood best friend. I think after all these harem animes, you would think they would get their act together and confess before it gets too late, but no! We have to fucking prolongate until a transfer student comes up, until a fucking person comes up who's never been in their best friend's life and actually steals them. You know, whenever that happens, and how forced it feels, yeah, that happens in the first 5 minutes of the show. And right out the bat, you get to know this is going to be a great fucking watch through. And at least I knew that it was going to be great. So basically, losing too many heroines. After that point where she confesses, she gets rejected, and blah blah blah. They do the whole harem anime thing of like, okay, actually confess to the real one. And our main character is like, why do I feel like I'm the spectator at this? Maybe fucking I am. I should go back to reading my manga. And then he realizes that his fucking classmates watched him the entire time. And this leads to a bigger series of events. She goes to him, talks like an anime girl, spends a lot of money, doesn't give the money back, and now she owes a debt to him. To repay that debt, every day she will give him food in return to equate the losses with the profits. Right? That's kind of the synopsis of the show. And that's where the whole plot kind of kicks off. This guy, whose name is Nukumi... Who gives a fuck about his name anymore? Okay, main character Kun. Anyway, let's talk about him for a little bit. If I had to summarize him in a sentence, he would be like, Cosma from Konosuba, but less meta. Yeah, that seems pretty right. Throughout all the series, throughout most of the show, the main character is very he is very normal. He never gets too crazy, he never reacts in a very anime-esque way. I think you know what I mean. I don't need to act. I'm not going to act it! Anyway, I think it was pretty clear from the first few minutes of the show that the main character wasn't really like all the harem other characters. Where, the douchebag, fucking playboy, dickhead, pervert, all these tropes. He wasn't any of those. He was just a normal person. I mean, I don't think normal really equates to him, because normal would imply that he is kind of in the norm, and I would probably say there are more horny people than just like, oh, I don't give a fuck unless it's really good horny people. He's basic, okay? He's your average dude from your nearby high school. He's very decent. He's just a decent guy who actually sees other people's feelings a lot of the time and realizes that other people try to hide those feelings, something that dense, brick-headed anime characters just do not get a lot of the times. And this is one of the things that I think really separates it from a lot of other harem animes. The harem animes very heavily rely on the female characters and how they act, and just let you self-insert on the main characters, and let half other people think that, oh, I can fuck these chicks all day long if I was the fucking main character. No, you would not. You don't know how to talk to your own mother. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, the main character is, I think, one of the better highlights of the show, because he acts not really as, the harem guy, or like, the pro tag. I think he just really acts like just a basic guy. Just a normal mediator of all the insane shit that can happen in this show. The harem interactions, the glove confessions, the love triangles, all these awkward conversations between two people who have just rejected each other. And he sounds like he is like a mouthpiece of the audience a lot of points of the time. And I think one of the great moments of our main character is from the most recent episode 4, where, the girl I talked about, the blue-haired girl, her name is Yanagi, and her crush, I don't remember his name, the crush, in most harems, if you've watched a good amount, the main character, after rejecting the girl, would ask another guy, who's always aloof, who's always doesn't care, the stereotype, the male best friend. They would ask them, oh, how about you date them? And they would be like, haha, JK, not lol. And next episode, they would be absolutely raw-dogging the other character who just got rejected. And the character is just fine with all this. And you're like, what? This feels so fucking forced. And so, son, it feels like a slap in the fucking face. And you hate the entire show for what it has done. Well, the show tries to fix a lot of that, surprisingly. There are two moments in the show where I really love. It's all from episode 4, really. Episode 4 is where another love triangle, in this show, let me tell you a rundown of this. There are, right now, 3 love triangles in this show. I don't know if they're gonna introduce more. I think they're gonna introduce more, actually. This is a harem anime. They're obviously fucking going to introduce more. Anyways, there are 3 love triangles right now that all have just been resolved. Just like that. 4 episode, 3 love triangles, boom, 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 resolved. 3 characters into the main character's harem. But right now, the females don't love the main character. They don't want to ride his cock every moment they see him. They don't have this overwhelming fascination for such a basic dude, which makes so much more sense. You like people who you have met a long time for. You like people who you've known for a long time, who you've known a lot about, or you like people who you just have this immediate reaction or immediate attraction to. And a lot of the times, that is how people usually end up in a relationship. And they don't really end up in a relationship just through just like seeing the other person do something or just seeing the other person be a certain way. That's not a relationship, that's just fascination. And I think this series can portray that to a good extent, where all these love triangles, the best friend character or like the losing heroine is always has this image of the main character, which is very different from the actual winning heroine, which is very evident in real life. I mean, if you see all the people that date in real life, the people that do actually end up lasting for a long, long time are the people who genuinely like each other as people and are not just attracted to each other because of some few traits. And I think this series can do that to a great extent if they continue on the path they're currently treading. Because right now, the best points in the show are probably just the character interactions with the main character as just, I think, the third wheel, or just the spectator kind of mediating everything and leading to a more natural progression. Because when you see harem anime, everything feels so clumpy and forced and bullshitty, and all of it feels very sudden. I don't know. A lot of it feels very, very, very like, oh, we're running out of time and we gotta end this story. Boom, boom, boom. Bye bye. Climax. And I mean, sure, like, if that's the way you like your story to be, I mean, I guess, but I hate that personally. I think that is one of the worst ways to end a story, really, is to end it on a forced note. The fact that it felt like it was rushed, or was forced, or was any of the synonyms of that, really. When a series does that, it really gets on my nerves and really just brings down my whole mood about the show in and of itself. And this is just for my personal opinion, but I think a lot of people can relate to this, who feel the same way. Anyway, let's get back to the show. So the show also has very great moments of littered throughout the few episodes that have been released, of like just like pointing out these very creepy and weird stereotypes in harem anime. You know, with the main character, how there is one very tsundere girl, which being the main blue-haired girl, how they act in a certain way, it just makes it so cringy and weird and just so foreign, and it kind of pushes a belief away to like this is not a story, this is just anime, which I think is a problem with a lot of harem shows, where at the end of it all they don't end up as they end up as a harem anime or a harem manga. They never end up as a story. And I think that is one of the greatest drawbacks, or not the word drawbacks, one of the biggest, I think, fates of a harem anime, is that if you don't proceed in a much more lighter tone, it will end up very clunked up, and it will feel very shitty. I think I can tell you a lot of harem anime with just, even though they take off hundreds of chapters, they feel so much forced. I think I can say some off the top of my head, like what was the harem anime with the 5 girls? I fucking care. You can see them on the screen. Nisekoi felt a bit forced. It felt like they were like, okay, how do I actually develop this relationship in a different way? And it just sped run the thing, so it kind of feels a little shitty. I think most romance anime, it feels very forced when they actually try to get them together. And like, I would say, Kimi no Todoke, fucking, I hate that so fucking much. Oh my god, if you if you hate, the high school romance, oh boy, my boyfriend is in the jock team, and my crush, my new bestie, is a nerd, and now I'm actually developing feelings for him. You know the trashy fucking high school shows. Yeah, that's what Kimi no Todake is. You should not fucking watch that shit. That is so fucking horrible. Oh my god. The first 6 episodes really lied to me when I watched that show. Fuck, do I want to erase a lot of that from my memory. I just want to kill every one of the characters. They are fucking irritating. Anyway, that's very tangent. Sorry, I should stop. Anyway, I think one of the great points of the show really is its ability to make it seem like this shit can happen in real life. A lot of people can be peculiar about certain things in certain ways, like the main character being peculiar about the water he drinks. Very weird, but a lot of people people are weird about certain things that they don't immediately realize until it is stated clearly. And I think that is one of the great things about this show. It kind of makes the characters feel more human than most harem characters. Like, have you ever watched, I think everybody has watched a harem anime and been like, oh, this is not a real person, this is a character. Yeah, that rarely happens, I think, in this show, where there are so many points where I feel like, oh, these people can be actual real people and don't necessarily need to be just confined in the limits of anime. They can be somebody real, I think. And I think one of the great moments is that it's one of the last points of episode 4 where the main character meets up with the crush or the one who rejected Nagami-san, the blue-haired girl. Sorry, fuck her, the blue-haired girl, okay? The blue-haired girl. The person who rejected the blue-haired girl talked to the main character, okay? And then he basically talked the whole harem spiel of like, please take care of her, protect her, I just wish she stopped liking me, all that shit. And I think that has happened more times in harem than not, and whenever it has happened, it feels more emotional and more melodramatic than it should be. I think I don't need to name names here, but so fucking many harem anime just do that. But Yanagi-san just comes in between and says that you don't have any right to how I feel. No extra melodramata, no fucking song playing in the background, no crying, no nothing, just says it like it should be. Nobody really has right to tell anybody how to feel or how not to feel. And I think that is a better grounding for the show as like, oh, this is serious. This is like, they really know their shit. They really know how some people can interact in a show. People don't instantly give up over a person they have liked for so much longer time. They might feel a little bit of relief. They might feel a little bit of like some weight off of their shoulders, but they don't necessarily feel that, oh, everything's done. Everything's done and dusted. It's all in the fucking past. Now let's move on to the new one. Doesn't really happen in real life. People stay with these feelings for a long period of time, and that eventually leads to the failure of a lot of friendships, which I'm so happy that they point that shit out in the show. Usually in harem anime you would see that even when a person chooses a girl, they all live happily ever after. They're all happy with how the results are now. No! Everybody's fucking salty at the end of everything. Everybody's angry how it turns out. Nobody's happy about the fact that they got rejected. They might feel relief, as I said, but nobody nobody's happy about that shit, which I'm so mad that so many harem anime try to portray. Nobody feels like this. It feels so fucking foreign, and it just bullshit. And there was another point in, I think, episode 2 or episode 3, where there's like there's the sports girl, a Gyaru, and she gets rejected, and she doesn't get rejected flat out in a more she gets rejected in a more indirect sense, where she's told by her best friend that, oh, he has got a girlfriend, and she doesn't react in any extravagant way like, you why didn't you fuck me? No, she's very simple about that. It's a very sudden realization of, oh, I've lost this person, which the main character always succeeds in pointing out all these flaws that these characters do have. And these are just one of the few great bits of the show. The show can be really funny if you understand the meta behind all of the little jokes that they feel throughout. And the jokes aren't always like very extravagant, but hey, anime fans have been crying for something subtle and something more with less exposition, really. I think it's a great show that everybody should check out. I think could be the romance show of the season. I think there are shows with great potential for romance, but like, I don't think they can evaluate to anything. Anyway, I think this is going to be a very, very good show, and I think everybody should. I recommend this to everybody who are tired of these stereotypes of harem anime and are just want something new. This is something super fresh in the market, and I think everybody should test it out.